Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Todd Cheek coming at you with another episode of Living Your Best Life. And as always, thank you so much for giving me some of your time whenever, wherever you are in the world right now. If you don't know already what we do in the show, well, I'm going to tell you, as I always do. We invite professionals on to talk about what they do and how what they do is contributing to a healthier society, a wealthier society, a better society as a whole. That's what we do on the show. And today, you're in for a real treat. As always, I have a special guest on, a really, really awesome lady that we had just had a great conversation. I had to have her onto the show because of what she's doing in her life and with her life. She's a nutritionist, so we're going to be talking about health and wellness as it pretty much is my wheelhouse. But we're also going to be talking about what she does with her health and her wellness business. She's a creator of some really, really healthy spices, and I want you to check her out because these are healthier spices, like I said, and not filled with a bunch of preservatives and sodium and things like that. Really tasty. I got a couple of them, and they're really, really good. So I definitely want you to check this out and check her out. But what I feel that you should be taking away from today's show, and this is my hope and recommendation, is that she saw a need in the school systems when she was, out there in the school systems working. She saw a need with regards to the health of our kids. And so she saw this need and she came up with a solution, henceforth her spices. And if you should see a need, I hope you listen to this today and you take away from her. Once again, if you see a need out there in the world and if you can provide a solution to fix that need or that problem, that yes, you take advantage of it and you run with it. So today's show is going to be about empowerment, but also about nutrition. All righty. So if you have a vision for your life, go for it. All right. If you have a mission, go for it. That's what it's all about. All right. So everyone, thank you for hanging out with me, like I said, for today. And I'm going to see everyone on the other side of the commercial because you know what we're doing. We have the Reset Challenge, the Well Beyond 50 Reset Challenge, always coming at you. So make sure that you get onto the next live webinar to learn more about what that Reset Challenge is all about and why are people losing weight like this. Man, we're doing great. We're doing great things with this challenge. So you want to get in on this challenge, but before the challenge, get on the webinar and find out what it's all about. All right. So listen, everyone, we have Lisa Maloney coming up on the other side of the commercial. I'll see you in a little bit. Y'all be good. Peace. So welcome back, everyone. Todd coming at you, of course, living your best life. And listen, like the commercial said, we want to help you get well beyond 50. So I need you to click on that link below because we're going to be helping everyone that is well beyond 50 stay well beyond 50, but those that may not be doing so well beyond 50, we want to make sure that you get well beyond 50. So we want to do that with the reset. So make sure you get in on our next live webinar by clicking the link below. Now, on with today's show, I have an awesome lady on. It's going to be speaking with her about what she does. And this is kind of a different turn from what I do and from my other podcasts, but I really enjoyed just our conversation because I really enjoyed her journey as to where she is now. And she's going to have the opportunity to share that with you. But just to kind of like give you just a small, a snippet, I want you to really pay attention to what she is retailing in her business, okay? Because she has these awesome spices, and I got some, and it is absolutely phenomenal. And I want you all really, really, really to pay attention to that part because she has some healthier options when it comes to spices, and that's what we're all about, healthier options. So Lisa Maloney, thank you so much for hanging out with us for a little bit today on Living Your Best Life.
Hi, Todd, and 3 cheers to Health over 50. Absolutely. I think that's a wonderful cause for sure.
Thank you
Something that I've
so
at,
much.
at any age, it doesn't matter. I mean,
At
some
any
people that
age.
are younger than 50 are definitely, are unhealthy too. So
Yeah, yeah. You know what the thing is that they're on their way to 50. And we want to make sure that when they get to that 50-yard line, that they're going to be well beyond 50. And so that's the goal. But like I said, thank you so much, Lisa, for coming out and hanging out with us for a little bit this afternoon. Now, Lisa, you have an interesting business, and I want everyone to kind of like get to know you before we get to the business. And because like I said, I want people to connect with you and your journey because I think your journey is awesome with working with people in the health and wellness and things of that nature. But tell us a little bit about who Lisa Maloney is and why she is today.
well, first and foremost, I am a nutritionist and I have been in the industry now in one form or another for many, many years. And really what started my journey was when my youngest daughter Morgan was born, and she was born with a really rare condition that only 55 people in the world had at the time that she was born. And it's called congenital selective glucose and galactose malabsorption. And since it's such a mouthful, they actually call it GGM for short. And she was born in a community hospital almost 33 years ago. This month, her birthday is going to be on the 21st. And there's not very many people that even knew what she had, let alone how to treat it. So we as a family were basically searching the ends of the earth and to try to find out what was wrong with our daughter and how to treat her. And we ended up at UCLA and Children's Hospital of Orange County, Loma Linda University. We were just, going any place and anywhere to try to help our daughter. So slowly but surely over time, we did start to glean some information, and there was some specialized testing that was done to actually diagnose her. So they did finally come up with a diagnosis, which was half the battle in and of itself. But during the first 5.5 months of her life, she was in the hospital 115 days.
Wow.
And she was a full term healthy baby. So I thought that I was just going to take her home like I did my older daughter, and we were just going to, live our lives and do our thing. But her health very rapidly started to deteriorate. And I noticed that she was not acting the way that her older sister was. And so we ended up taking her back into the hospital. And at first they thought that she had jaundice or something like that. So they put her under the Billy lights, as they call them. But she was still not responding to that. And she was really rapidly going downhill. And quite frankly, Todd, it is a miracle that she did live,
Mm,
because if she was born in anything but the United States of America. And we had, like I said, UCLA and Children's Hospital and, major hospitals in our backyard. She probably wouldn't have lived. And so I was just, fighting every single day. And like I said, we finally got it. To make a long story short, we finally got a diagnosis. And it took her about 33 days of being at Children's Hospital of Orange County to get strong enough to even be able to come home. And then even after she came home, she was on what's called nasal gastric tubes, because they were afraid that she couldn't handle anything in her stomach. So it was kind of bypassing that, going through her digestive tract. And then we were able to identify a very specified or specialized formula called Ross carbohydrate free formula that I needed to add fructose to. So basically, her condition, without getting too technical, fructose is one of the only simple sugar that she can partially metabolize. Glucose and galactose were, out of the question. So she ended up eating a really significantly modified diet. So basically, in modern terms, it's more like a keto style diet that she needs to eat in order to live and to be healthy. So I actually kept her on that formula for almost 9 years, and the doctors were telling me that I was crazy, but I didn't care because I just wanted to make sure that my daughter was getting enough nutrition otherwise. And I was actually a returning college student at the time too, and I was seeking my psychology degree. But then after Morgan was born, I decided to pivot, and I ended up getting a food science and nutrition degree instead. And a lot of people were kind of telling me they're like, you're so into nutrition to begin with and cooking and all that. I think that this would be a good idea for you. And then after Morgan was born, I was like, well, maybe I should. It was not an easy degree for sure, but I am glad that I did go down that path. And it was, I feel, what I was meant to do. So from there, after I got out of college, I started doing nutrition consulting on an individual basis for people. And my specialty back in the day was digestion and weight loss. People that had digestive issues and were wanting to lose weight. So I was helping them to do that, in a healthy way, based same thing that you're doing, like with the
Hmm.
diet and the exercise and and the supplements and things of that nature. And then over time, I actually moved in a different direction with my career, and I started working for the school districts in the nutrition department. And I first worked briefly for a private company who was supplying school meals to like private schools. And from there, I pivoted into my first public school district in Northern California. So I ended up working for three different school districts up there, and that kind of took me in the nutrition management. And that's kind of where I got the idea for my custom spice blends called Spicy Spuds and Other Stuff. Because back in 2010, when the Obamas were in office, they were making a lot of changes to the K through 12 meal pattern, one of which was significantly reducing the sodium content in the meals for the kids. There's actually still one, after all these years, there's still one more that's on the table, so to speak. And so we'll see if they actually do implement that. I think it would probably be taking it down a little bit too far, because you want, you know, salt isn't our enemy, but having too much salt or even too little salt, is our enemy, basically. And of course, the type of salt that you're utilizing. So my answer to that problem was, because I could see, the industry was struggling for about 2 years trying to figure out how do we flavor the food for these kids and doing it in a healthier way, and also increasing the fiber content in the fruits and vegetables, capping off the saturated fat at less than 10% across the board. So my answer to the sodium problem was Spicy Spuds and Other Stuff. So I started doing some research on custom spice blends that are out there, and I really did not realize just how many additives and how much salt was actually in custom spice blends. I was really surprised. So I really wanted to come up with something that was different and unique. And so some of the benefits and features of my spices compared to others are, of course, they are completely sodium free, and they're allergen free, they're gluten free, they're sustainably grown and harvested, they're all natural, they're MSG free. And I do have four wonderful flavors. I have my smoky barbecue, and then I also have my tangy garlic onion, and then I have chipotle spice, and then I also have dessert spice. And between all four of my blends, Todd, they're basically fantastic on any type of food that you want to put them with. So just to give you some really quick examples, and this is with or without a recipe. So I do
Hmm.
have quite a few recipes on my website, and they are complete with nutrition facts, because as a nutritionist, I've used professional software to um, to do the nutritional breakdown and nutrition facts. But for instance, like with Chipotle spice actually goes, a lot of my customers use these two spices together. So
Chipotle, and which one?
Chipotle and the tangy garlic onion.
Okay, gotcha.
So Chipotle spice is ideal for any type of meat, poultry, fish, also even vegan items. It's really good on vegetables and on potatoes. And it's so simple. And this is a lot of my message. It's not just about people buying, sodium-free custom spice blends, but showing people how easy it is, quick and nutritious, because I really do want to save people time and money, and I want them to eat healthier just like you do. So if you were to take the chipotle spice and put some olive oil, let's say like on a chicken breast, and then you either put it in the oven or the air fryer, the barbecue. You can cook it however you want to cook it. And oftentimes I don't even use any salt at all. And that's all you need is just the chicken, the olive oil, and the chipotle. And then the same thing goes for vegetables, whether it's potatoes or cabbage or carrots or onions or zucchini. I mean, whatever the case may be, you just put a little bit of olive oil on it and then the chipotle spice, or for that matter, smoky barbecue. Smoky barbecue works the same way, and so does tangy garlic onion, because they're basically great for any type of meat, poultry, fish, vegan items as well. I definitely
Right.
have some vegan recipes on my website too, and they're also great for being a dry rub, and they go really well in sauces and dressings. I do have some recipes for that. And then for the dessert spice, the name is a little bit of a misnomer because it's not just good for dessert. It's actually really good in things like your coffee, hot or cold chocolate milk or milk alternatives. It's really good on top of oatmeal, yogurt, fresh fruit, pancakes, waffles, French toast. Of course, and anything chocolate. But
Yeah.
the important thing to note about dessert spice is that it really does help you to cut down on carbs and sugar. And I'll explain why. 1 teaspoon of dessert spice is going to yield 2 carbs and 2 calories. Whereas for a teaspoon of sugar, you're looking at 15 to 17 calories and about 4.5 to 5 carbs. And so,
Hmm.
like if you put the dessert spice, like let's just say on some low carb pancake, or it doesn't even have to be low carb, but if they wanted it to be on some pancakes or waffles or French toast, you could actually do it with like a little pat of butter, like a teaspoon of dessert spice, and then put some fresh fruit on top. And you could actually either omit or significantly cut down on the amount of syrup. So that way you can still enjoy some of these foods, but you're just doing it in a healthier way because you're reducing the calories and you're reducing the sugar and the carbohydrates.
Gotcha. That, thank you so much for that. And so I want to kind of back up and talk to you a little bit about, like, for instance, um, the desserts. Okay. Now, what do you use to sweeten it and keep it, give it that taste? What's the process like for, your
Well, I have
spice?
somebody manufacture them for me because I'm not able to do it, on a large scale basis. So the recipes are all mine, and anyone that I share them with has to sign a non-disclosure
Right.
agreement with me. And and I just recently redid the labels and everything too. And I'm now carrying the smaller size. So up to this point, and I should probably show you a bottle of this too. I do carry a larger size. So this is like the Costco size. So some
Hmm.
people like the larger size, and some people like the smaller size. So I do have both sizes available on my website. But the ingredients are sugar, cinnamon, cocoa powder, nutmeg, and allspice.
Okay, gotcha.
So so the labels on my spices are very, very clean. And the other thing I wanted to mention about sodium too, like I said, I'm not here to try to demonize sodium or tell people to use it or not to use
Mhm.
it. All I'm trying to tell people is I want you to be in the driver's seat. Why should
Yeah.
you be paying for salt when it's an inexpensive ingredient? I would much rather you be paying for high quality custom spice blends. You can add salt if you want, in the amount that you want. And the other thing that I wanted to mention too is that all salts are not the same. And so what I try to do is mix it up a little bit, and I'll use like sometimes sea salt, sometimes gray salt, sometimes I use all these more natural salts that you can get in the grocery store, and sometimes pink salt too, as long as it's not coming from places like China, because they have been linked with heavy metals that actually get in the salts too. So I think that's really an important thing to note. And on my website, when I was doing my research, I found that like on the Mayo Clinic and also the American Heart Association's website, they both state that 9 out of 10 Americans are actually consuming too much sodium. I didn't realize it was that bad.
Hmm.
So I thought, well, I think I might be onto something here because I'm,
Yeah.
with using my spices, you can definitely significantly cut down. And
Yeah.
I think when you go to restaurants, Todd, if you've ever seen some of the menus actually do have nutrition facts. But
Yeah.
when you look at the calories and the fat and the sodium that are typically in those
Hmm.
entrees at a restaurant, it's absolutely astronomical.
Yeah. It's
So
scary.
it's no wonder, yeah, and you don't even realize it. We're so
Yeah.
conditioned, we're so conditioned to doing that. So I
Yeah.
want to bring about awareness for people and to show them that there is a healthier way of doing things. And typically it's, going shopping in the outer perimeters of the grocery store where you can get more whole foods like the
Hmm.
meats and the poultry, the fish, the beans, the vegetables, the fruits, the nuts, things like that. So I
Yeah.
think that's really
And
important.
it's really important. So how I think a lot of times when we talk about, and I keep going back to the dessert one because that's one I really want to try because when I do my smoothies, for instance, um, just to add a little bit of a mix of flavors and a little bit of what have you. Um, have you tried it out on your family and what do they think? And because a lot of times, family can be either your best or your worst critics.
Oh, they definitely can. No, yeah, my family definitely does use my spices, and I'm so glad that you brought up about the smoothies because I just started doing some experiments myself because my chiropractor wants me to start incorporating more protein into my diet. So I was
Hmm.
trying to figure out a healthier way to do that. So I like the idea of shakes, but I don't do well with the whey protein and then also the soy protein. So I actually
Mm,
bought this organic non-GMO pea protein
pea
powder
protein.
from Amazon. And so what I'm doing with it is I'm mixing the unflavored organic coconut milk with it, a little bit of ice, and I put a tablespoon because that this protein powder, Todd, has got no flavor
No
whatsoever.
flavor.
So with coconut milk and non-flavored protein
Yeah,
powder, that's not really
yeah,
a good combination.
yeah.
So I found that the best combination would be like maybe putting like a half a banana in it or maybe like a handful of blueberries. And then I put a tablespoon of dessert spice in there. So I'm getting 6 calories and 6 carbs. But that's really
Hmm.
like some of the only carbs that are in there because the coconut milk has very little. And then, of course, the protein powder is just the protein that has, all the amino acids and everything in it.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I can share if I don't know if you have a favorite. I'm sure you, being the trainer that you are, you probably have like a favorite protein powder that you use. But I really do like this stuff. I just got it on Amazon. I was just kind of looking at reviews and looking around and thought I would
yeah.
try it out. But I really do like it, and I will continue to use it. But the only way that I can really make it palatable and flavorful
Just
enough
adding. Yeah,
is I
yeah,
put a tablespoon of dessert spice in there.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. And
and
so, yeah,
cinnamon and cocoa powder, they have a lot of nutritional value as well.
right, 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 right. And so, yeah, like I said, that's my thing is everyday usage, things that we do every day.
Things that are
Um,
practical.
yeah, things that we do every day. And, when it comes to sodium, like you said, we don't realize how much we are consuming when we do go out, when we don't know what, a restaurant is putting in our foods, so to speak. And it tastes awesome. It tastes, so we eat and we eat, but we just don't know the amount of bad stuff, the preservatives, the additives that are going into our bodies that can ultimately lead to some, health challenges potentially. But
Well, I think
once
it's
again,
almost
thank
a
you.
guarantee. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, but thank you so much. When you say you almost think it's a guarantee that what?
Well, if you're eating fast food and or going to a chain restaurant, I can almost guarantee it. So when I do go out to eat, which isn't that often, I tend to go to the mom and pop restaurants
Right.
because I think I
Yeah.
have a better chance of getting something that's healthier. Plus, I like to support, any small
Yeah.
businesses that I
Yeah.
possibly can. But, the people that are eating fast food and having the DoorDash delivered to them and all that. Yes, it's very convenient. And like you said, it does taste good, but you just really don't know what you're getting. And your chances are you're getting too much fat, too much sodium, too many calories, too many additives and preservatives. And, long term, it just isn't, it's not the answer, and it's not, it's not good.
Yeah, I remember when I used to live in New York City, and this is, Lisa, when we were probably younger, because I think when you're younger, you don't have these concerns about what's in your food.
Yeah, you don't think
You,
about it as much. Yeah.
yeah, you don't have these concerns, and so I ordered some. I used to constantly order from, Chinese takeout. That was my thing. And a dish that I used to always get, I don't want to say the name because my family will chew me out because I'll probably get it wrong, but it's General Tso's chicken or something like that. But I used to get this dish all the time. And I realized one time I looked it up in terms of how many calories in this one thing. And I mean, I would eat the whole thing because, hey, I'm
From
20.
that particular restaurant, you
Yeah,
mean?
from that particular restaurant. I'm 25. I'm in the gym. I'm healthy. So, as a 25 can be. Um, so food was not a part of my, I was just going to the gym. That's all. Well, that's what health looked like to me. But when I looked and saw how many calories were in that, it's about probably, it was like maybe 1,000 calories in that one dish. And the sodium was off the chart, off the chart. I mean, the calories are already off the chart in that one dish. And so I'm like, wow, I had no idea
It's
I was
eye-opening. I
consuming
know.
that amount of calories, that much sodium in one sitting. And so this is all, skin on or type of chicken, battered chicken. And so, and then it's in some kind of like a sweet kind of flavoring and juice, and then you throw some rice in there, and you have just this soup of just unhealthiness, right there. And that's how we're locked in. Um, because they know what we like. They know we love sweets. They know that we love that sweet and savory kind of thing, and they that appeals to us. So I'm really happy and thrilled that you are offering alternatives to the bad stuff, but still tastes good, and that is so important.
Yes, thank you very much. No, my spices are very, very packed with flavor, but they just don't have salt. Like I said, you can just use your own if you want. But I have talked to quite a few people, some of whom are customers of mine that said, my doctor told me to cut back on the sodium, and I am sodium sensitive. So I know that there's a lot of people out there that do have, that health concern for sure. So this is definitely, a healthy alternative for you.
Now, which ones do you have again? You have the dessert, you have the onion, the
So I have the smoky barbecue,
monkey
and then I have the
barbecue.
chipotle spice, and then
Hmm.
I have the tangy garlic onion, and I have the
Okay,
dessert
there we go.
spice. And I have them
Now,
both in the smaller. So this set right here, the small bottles retail for $39, and then the large bottles retail for 79.
gotcha.
And I have
Question
everything
right
on my website.
Question right quick. Do you have any plans for expanding on, beyond the four that you have? Any ingredients or
Yes, I have two more.
is that a secret
Yes.
is that a secret that you're holding right now?
Yes, I am. But there are
Okay.
definitely two more that are that have been in my mind for a little while now, and I definitely do want to make that a reality.
Yeah.
So then it can be even more all encompassing as far as, the types of food that you can use them with.
Right,
These are a little
right.
bit more specific to certain ethnic types of foods.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
but that's okay,
Yeah,
because
that's fun.
I just want to have, every conceivable spice out there for people to use, and not just on a personal level either. My spices are ideal, especially the larger bottles for people that own restaurants, food trucks, in schools, things of that nature, where it's more of a commercialized setting. So it's
Yeah.
not just for in-home use, it's also for people that are in the, in the food industry as well.
Yeah. But and it's like the addiction, like I said earlier, the sweet and savory addiction. Um, uh, when we go out to a dinner, and one thing I've noticed over the years is that I'm not a salt shaker person. You rarely see me put salt on anything. Um, if it's already got some kind of flavoring to it, then that's where
You're
it's gonna
good to
stop.
go.
Yeah. But most times, when I would eat like a potato, for instance, um, and I don't eat potatoes anymore, to be honest with you, like the whole potato and with skin on, whichever. Um, I actually like the potato by itself, nothing on it. And everyone else, they'll probably put some salt on it or some butter or what have you. That's never
I
been
would.
me.
That's a bland food like beans, eggs, potatoes. I gotta have a little bit of salt on
Yeah,
those,
it's really
personally.
strange. Yeah, I would, yeah, I enjoy that plain, boring s- potato taste. you know, and I don't know what that's about, but it's like the older I've gotten, the less of a salt shaker person, but I do love spices though. I'm a big cayenne person. I love cayenne pepper.
I have
And
some great recipes on my website too that do have potatoes. Just off the top of my head, I have a really good chipotle potato salad. And
oh
then
yeah,
also, if you're eating French fries, you can put I think it was the smoky barbecue that I had on there, but of course
that
you could
sounds
use a
good. That
different
sounds
one.
good.
And then you
Yeah,
could also use, like if you use ketchup, you could also put the spices in the ketchup too, so that'll help to flavor it.
yeah.
And then I do have this other recipe where you take it's the whole potato and you cut them into wedges. And there's a way that you can actually crisp them up in the oven. And it's
Hmm.
using just cornstarch and water. And then you have like a little bit of pan spray on on the baking sheet. And then you can put the spices on there as well. So those are three that are off the top of my head. But actually, oh, and then garlic mashed potatoes. I do that a lot. And
Wow,
what I'll
wow.
do, because I'm lazy and I don't want to peel potatoes anymore. So, like for a holiday dinner or something, I'll take the Yukon Gold potatoes,
Yeah,
cut them
yeah,
up, boil them down, and then just put like a little bit of butter, salt, and tangy garlic onion,
yeah.
and then you're good to go.
So do you like to cook?
I do, yes.
Yeah,
I do a
yeah.
lot of I do a lot of meal prep and everything because I want to get, in fact, I'm probably going to be making my albondigas today. I have found some beef meatballs that actually meet the
Oh, wow.
criteria, which is not easy to do, because I read the labels on everything.
Hmm,
I
hmm,
always
hmm.
have, and especially when I was in K-12,
Yeah,
because even with those regulations and everything, Todd, I'm kind of like backtracking here a little bit, but
that's fine.
when I would get like the information sheets and everything from the manufacturer, when they get you all excited about, oh, this product is great, it looks good, it smells good, it tastes good, it's on sale, all this kind of stuff, but it would have to meet the, not just the USDA's regulation criteria, it would have to meet the Lisa Maloney regulations as well. And not there were definitely a lot of things that I didn't put on my menu.
Yeah,
And the manufacturers and the sales reps wouldn't be happy with me. And sometimes my own staff wouldn't be happy with me
yeah.
because they'd say, well, the kids really like this. And I said, you guys, if I'm not going to feed it to my own kids, I'm not going to feed it to
Right.
anybody else's.
Appreciate
And I
that.
said, nobody knows what's in these and understands it the way that I do. So
Yeah,
yeah, I definitely took definitely took some
that seriously.
heat for that.
Yeah,
But I feel, I just felt so much better about what I was putting in front of the kids. And I would try to even feed them like organic vegetables and stuff whenever I possibly could. And just the highest quality ingredients
yeah.
possible.
Do
So
you think that because you haven't been with the school system how long? How long has it been since you
almost 7 years now.
almost
Yeah.
7 years? Any
Yeah.
idea where it's at? Any idea where it's at now? Has it gone backwards? Has it changed? Is it getting better? Any idea on that?
That's an interesting question. I actually just talked to a consultant yesterday, and I'm going to start working with her because she's going to
Hmm.
start using my spices and
Good.
recipes that she's creating for school districts. And it seems like it's about the same because I asked her, I said, are there a lot more districts now that are doing, because there's three levels of ways that you can cook for the kids at school. It's either
Hmm.
scratch, quick scratch, or prepackaged. And
Right.
the larger school districts don't, they actually have a lot more prepackaged foods than the
Yeah.
smaller ones. So the smaller districts tend to have more quick scratch and scratch cooking
Okay.
than some of the larger ones. And like here, me being right next to Las Vegas, and I've actually met the menu planner and everything. And he said almost everything we do is prepackaged here. And he said it takes like a couple of years to try to get something new on the menu. And I thought, oh, that sounds horrible. Because
Red
I just
tape.
feel like all my creativity as a
Yeah.
director, is taken away from me because I want to create new things all the time and have them on these on my cycle menus and everything. And I'm not going to wait 2 years. So
Hmm.
that would be really tough for me. So you kind of have to, you can't just automatically say, oh, school lunch, they're all horrible. That's definitely not true. And they've definitely, ramped up over the years, since the Obamas have been in office, and you have to evaluate each school district independently.
Right.
You
Right.
have to scratch beneath the surface.
Yeah.
So it really depends.
I guess I remember, in school when I was coming up, there wasn't a big focus on, yeah, at all on our menus. We had pretty much probably
What
the
did you
same.
guys have on your menu, Todd?
Oh my God, it was pretty much before. This is before high school. Let's go back before, because before high
Was this
school,
a public school or a private
public
school?
school, public school.
Okay.
And so in high school, you can drive off campus, if you had your license and go get lunch. But before then, before high school, before you could drive off campus, it was pretty much the same thing almost every single day, with maybe some variation on some days. So you knew that you were going to get a hamburger, some kind of meat patty, with some cheese, and shove that onto, inside some hamburger buns. You knew that you were going to get a carton of milk. You knew that you were going to have access to maybe a square, a pizza, little square pizza thing. Um, and then you knew that you were going to get, like, some kind of cookie. I don't
No fruits and
honestly,
vegetables, just a cookie,
I,
huh?
I don't recall. I don't recall on fruits and vegetables in my memory, and it
In
might
my
be
school
true.
district, there were. I mean, you definitely had like the desserts and everything, but I mean, they definitely had fruits and vegetables as well, and there was
Yeah, but it may have been
quite a
like the little
variety
cup.
of entrees,
It might have been the little cup of, like, of some,
like
fruit
fruit cocktail or
cocktail.
something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something swimming in some syrup. So it may have been something something like that. But there wasn't this big focus on, because I think too, just, when we were kids, w- food wasn't a focus. We were more so just trying to eat to get it over with to get back outside. And so that was kind of like, I think they knew that. They say, well, just give them something.
Well, I think it still is, and those are considerations as well, because like if you're dealing with the K through 5 crowd, and sometimes it could even turn into a union issue because so if you're going to have
Ooh.
like packets of ketchup, mayonnaise, mustard, whatever the case may be
Oh
on your
yeah.
menu, then the aides that are walking around during the lunch hour for the kids, they have to help the little ones open them up. So
Oh my
I would
goodness.
yeah, so my answer to that was to have a higher quality ketchup, mustard, mayonnaise that didn't have the high fructose corn syrup in it. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
And the
yeah.
kids could go over and they could squirt their own out. And so because the packets cost more money, and I didn't like the quality of a lot of them that were out there. And then you didn't have people complaining that, oh, we have to help the kids open the packets up, that kind of stuff. things that you would never think, dream
I would
of.
have never thought there
K
would be
K
people yes,
12, Todd,
right.
is a world unto itself. I mean,
Wow.
if I wasn't working in it, I
You
would
would
have
have
never
never
known. No,
the
not at
challenges, the
all.
small nuanced
It's
challenges.
like the real world, and then there's the K through 12 world when it comes to nutrition. Absolutely.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Well, like I said earlier, yeah, people like you are needed, especially as it relates to where your history with working with K through 12, our young kids and young adults and things like that, because of them being introduced to so many things on a daily basis to high sugary foods. Energy drinks out the is
Oh,
my God. Um,
yes. We did not have any of those in
did
our
y'all, what about
district. Those
soda?
are
What about
so
soda machine?
unhealthy.
What about soda
No, there
machine?
was no sodas
Okay,
either.
good.
No.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And so I remember, when I used to live in New York City, economics played a part into how kids uh started their day in school. Because I remember getting on the subway trains, and I used to live up in the higher part of the Bronx. And the Bronx has always been known to not be as financially able as like Manhattan or somewhere like that. So I would get on the Bronx train going down to Manhattan, and the kids on that would get on the train, they would get on going to school that morning. They would get on with a sugary drink or some kind of chips, cookies, or what have you. Once you got into Manhattan, there was a difference in terms of the quality of the food that the kids were consuming because Manhattan had a little bit more, they were financially able to afford better vegetables and better fruits and things like that. So the quality of some of the food actually changes. I noticed on the trains. So the kids that got on the train in Manhattan, they had fruit in their bags or some kind of a snack or what have you that they might be eating on. And so these were some of the things that I noticed over a period of time. And kids going into a class sugared up on a bunch of processed sugars and foods. How well are they going to perform in the school, and how well can you expect them perform in life in general? So, there is a big part of how I feel how nutrition plays into the development of our young kids that I feel as though as a society that we don't really pay that much attention to.
Well, in the public schools, they do try to even out the playing field, especially when it comes to the lower income kids, because well, now there's a lot of universal lunches out there. I don't know if it's throughout the entire country, but I know in California they do. Before, parents would need to fill out a 5-minute application that would give their kids a free breakfast and a free lunch
Yeah,
for the entire year. And
yeah,
so everybody gets fed the same. I guess 100 years ago, there were some differences. You know, like
yeah,
if you were free and reduced you got this, or I've heard of that years ago. I mean, it was
yeah,
definitely not the
yeah.
case. Whenever I was in K-12, everybody got fed the same amount, no matter if you were free, reduced, paid, whatever the case may be.
Hmm.
And that actually brings up this is the exact thing that happened at this one, and this was a lower income district that I was my first district, and it was definitely in the hood. It was called
Hmm.
West Contra Costa County School District. And have you ever heard of the city of Richmond in Northern
Yes,
California? Yeah,
yes, yeah.
that's where our offices were, and that there were other cities that encompassed our district as well. But what my girls are complaining to me over at this one Helms Middle School, I'll never forget. So the parents were dropping their kids off in front of the school. And so we even had a lunch cart, because it's not cool to eat school meals and all that kind of stuff. So I had an employee out there with a
Yeah.
cart with string cheese and boiled eggs and homemade muffins and, and more of the wholesome yogurts and stuff that didn't have like the high fructose corn syrup and all that, the healthier food items for the kids. So what are some of these kids doing? Mom and dad drops them off. They run down to 7-Eleven. They open up a
Mhm.
bag of hot Cheetos. They have the guy behind the counter go squirt, squirt, squirt with all
Yeah.
this fake cheese sauce. They come
Mhm.
back with like 4 spoons and they're sitting there eating it. And then they feel sick afterwards. And they were telling me, they're like, Lisa, what can we do? We're going to go over and talk to that guy. I said, don't do that. You don't want somebody to pull a gun on you or anything
Yeah,
crazy.
exactly.
So that's really where that was the impetus for Spicy Spuds and Other Stuff right there. I was like, okay, I've
Wow.
got to do something about this. This is absolutely
Yeah.
crazy. And that's where I really got the idea, was because it was killing me too. I thought, I wasn't looking at myself as a supervisor and the management and Kate, at my district. I was looking at myself as a parent. I have 2 daughters, and I would be absolutely shocked and appalled if
Mm.
they were doing something like this,
Yeah.
especially when
Yeah.
there's all these healthy alternatives, that are right there at their school. And they probably, if they were free or reduced, they wouldn't even have to pay for it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Wow. Well, and look, these are eye-opening conversations. I'll be honest with you. And I can only hope that it's gotten better from when I was in school to when you left 7 years ago, the K through 12 district and school system. I hope it's gotten better and all. But as we come in for a landing, Lisa, I just want to kind of like get everyone to kind of like, what's your website first and foremost? They'll
You
see
can
it
you can
on
find
the
me at
thing here.
Spicy Spuds and Other Stuff. So SPICY and then Spuds, SPUDS, and otherstuff.com. And it has
Gotcha,
a lot of
gotcha, gotcha.
information about me. It has a lot of information about my spices. There's a lot of testimonials. Of course, you can purchase my spices on my site. And so yeah, there's a lot of
Awesome.
good information on there about, about every, and you can also download my recipes for free too. So
That'd
each
be
one
good.
is on there individually, and you can download it or print it out.
That'd be
And I hope
good.
and I
That'd be
hope that you
awesome.
do.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. That'd be awesome. So what's in the big plans for Spicy Spuds and other stuff? What do you got? I know that you have some other recipes, spices that you're working on, but I definitely wanted to kind of like, see if there's anything on the
I have some
horizon.
more recipes that I need to get busy in, because each recipe is a labor of love, Todd. So
Yeah,
I come up with the concept, and then I look at other recipes and I come up with a recipe that I want. And then of course I, incorporate my spices in there. So I do have several that I do need to get busy and go in and do the nutrition analysis on it, and then get those created. And you have to take pictures of each one, and then you have to write it out as far as the instructions and everything too. And sometimes I
yeah,
have to tweak it a little bit. So I can usually look at something and get it almost right, but sometimes I have to tweak it a little bit. So I definitely do have some more recipes that are coming down the pike, and then eventually, I have the two additional spices that I want to create. And just basically getting the word out there to individuals and other businesses that I'm out here, and I want to help you to save time and to save money and to eat healthier.
yeah. And yeah, you're absolutely right about that. Eat healthier, save time, save money, and save a life possibly too, because this is what it's all about. We're just helping people do just that, live their best lives. So Lisa,
Absolutely.
yeah. So Lisa, thank you so much for hanging out with me for a few minutes. I truly, truly enjoyed our conversation
Well,
as
thank
always.
you. Thank you for inviting me, Todd. It's always wonderful to talk to you.
Yeah, I appreciate that so much. So everybody, listen, it's time to spice it up, okay? but in a healthier way. That's what we're going to focus on. We're going to spice it up, but healthier. So get in contact with Lisa, okay, Maloney. You can find her out there. Her information is somewhere down here on this bottom of this screen here. So make sure that you do, once again, get in contact with her. So everyone, that's the show. This is what we do. We help people live their best lives. How do we do that? By inviting these individuals on to talk about what they do and how what they do is contributing to a healthier and better society. They're out there in the trenches each and every day, all right, doing just that. So I want to say thank you once again, everyone, for hanging out with me for a few minutes and hanging out with Lisa here for a few minutes today on the show. And we look forward to the next time. All right, so everyone, get out there, do what you do, the best that you can do, and live your best lives. And anything that we can do to help you, let us know. Y'all take care. Take care. Bye-bye.